Okay, so last time, let's see, we finished, I think, because I guess daytime? Okay, so I changed the timeline because I snapped Yoko out of it. Drink some water. I wonder if, like, we can play other characters? I don't know. It feels like it's a horizontal. Go find out. Yeah. Kenshi, Bori Park, Part 3. Shogo, okay. Summary of previous events. Shogo cries Yoko's name in a desperate attempt to wake her as she lies unmoving and on the ground. Lois, please get through. Okay. Oh, wow. She's awake and alive. Huh? Oh, good. You're awake. What? What? Are you okay? You were so rattled and confused. I thought you'd really lost it. Do you feel dizzy? Have a headache? Are your humors off balance? Wait, what did you say? I think I've heard that before. You're the one who said it earlier. Oh, right. That might have been it. My humors were off balance. What, back there? You ended up like that because of your humors. Yeah, I've heard that at this age, your humors being even a little bit off can be fatal. Huh. Well, I'm glad you're back to normal now. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause you so much trouble. But I really don't remember what happened. Hmm. Sounds like what happened to me. Maybe this place is dangerous somehow? 5 times already. What? Are you backing out? Yeah, it just doesn't feel safe to me. And I'm worried about you. Let's call off today's investigation. Come on, I just started feeling back to normal too. Nope, not happening. Go home. I even pay your cab fare, okay? I ended up having to force a still protesting Yoko in the taxi. Even then, she still wouldn't stop complaining. So, to placate her, I promised I'd search the park on my own for a little while longer. Oh, why would you want to do that? Oh. Summary of previous events. Worried about Yoko after her bizarre incident, Shogo decides to call off their investigation into the mysteries for the night. Despite her stubborn objections, he manages to persuade her by offering to continue the search on his own. Why the... Oh, that means a curse bearer is going to show up. In further news... Oh. Before dawn today, a police officer on patrol discovered a man collapsed in Sumida City Park. The man was taken to the hospital, but his death was confirmed shortly after. Wait, he died? Investigations are still underway, but police suspect a connection to the other unexplained deaths found in the area. I couldn't finish reading that. Wait, he died, but it wasn't my fault. Don't tell me that's the whole game. I'll be so upset. Oh, that is the whole game. What the fuck? That's it? No way. Dang. So that's actually okay. I'm actually kind of upset. Please tell me there's more. Okay, let's see. Well done in your efforts thus far. This brings Shogo Oki's story to a close. Ah, but this is not the end. Far from it. Okay. I hope. In fact, this is where the story finally begins. The routes of the three protagonists have now been unlocked. Oh, okay, good, good, good. Wait. Oh no. Harui Shigima, a woman who lost her son when he was kidnapped and murdered. Tetsuo Susumi, the chief inspector of the 1st Investigative Division, who is looking into the death of an officer in the line of duty. Yaka Sakazaki, a high school girl who wants to bring her friends back from the dead. A girl who died in a suspicious suicide. Oh. Each of them is burdened with circumstances that leave them no choice but to seek the right of resurrection. Following these three storylines will reveal the full nature of all that is occurring. That, please enjoy the continuation of this tale. Oh, shit. Alright, well, I changed the death count thing. Is done. I think I'm just gonna go down the list. Harui Shigima. The creepy lady. Not dreams. When the son of Harui Shigima was kidnapped, a botched investigation by the police resulted in the child's murder. 1 year later, Harui has hired a PI to help resolve the unsettled case. Late at night, while speaking to the detective at her home, something strange suddenly appears. Right, the beach residents. May those who walk fires perish in flame. Kill them. Kill them. The flame bearers, kill them all. Alright, great. You have acquired the power of the curse stone, the haunting clappers. You can use it to kill those with fire or a fire starting device on their person. Press use curse button to set your target alight. Great. The murderous impulse seeps into my soul like thick black tar. Now, kill. Can you hear it, Curse Bearer? You who so strongly desires the right. Kill them. Harui Shigima. Shigima Mansion. Reception room. Oh, she's rich. Back with me, ma'am? I remember I gave him a cowboy voice. Can't say I understand what just happened, but it certainly seems to have put you in a good mood. This might be the first time I've ever seen you really smile. Sweet dreams. Creepy look. No. Not Dreams. Sounds like something I might want to hear about. A fax machine. It can send images to other places along the telephone. I don't really know how it works. Most houses don't have one. I rarely find a use for it. Yeah, telephone. This mansion has a private line. It's good to the color television. Father bought one as soon as it hit the market. He likes to have the latest gadgets. Unlike the latest models, there is no remote control. Um, we've had it for a long time. Back when it was new, we all gathered around and marveled at it as a family. But with father and my husband being away so often, it quickly fell into disuse. Swinging of the the swinging of the pendulum echoes through the room. It feels livelier than usual with Richter here. Usually it's just me. Lights. The chandelier is the only thing in here that's my choice. It's my favorite part of the room. An old hanging scroll. I don't know who painted it. It's been hanging here since before I was born. An arrangement of flowers. We bring in someone to do it. I don't even know what the flowers are called. A stereo unit with separated speakers designed for home use. My husband insisted on buying one, even though he isn't the one. He isn't one to listen to music often. Well, I'll be damned. Is that what I think it is? Goodness, you made me jump. It's just a silly little sticker my son got from somewhere or other. He put it up just before, well, you know what happened. I still can't bring myself to take it down. Let me take a closer look. I knew it. It's the head honcho from way back in set number 1. This is a real collector's item. Um, excuse me? Don't tell me you've never heard of the mockingbirds. The what? They're the hottest new craze. Cute little birds dressed up like rough and tumble delinquents. I've never heard of them, but this certainly seems to matter to you. The best part is nobody knows who made them. They just started showing up around town, and soon enough, they'd won everybody's hearts. The story goes that they're made by some anonymous artist who covertly leaves them behind in specific locations. Who knows when or where they'll show up next? They're basically an urban legend of sorts. Think one would turn up here of all places. This is a good sign, I'm sure of it. Oh, well, nice. Oh, mockingbirds. I wonder. Head honcho, not head honcho. Haha. Approach the net. No, so, right garden. If you won the lottery, wait until you feel like yourself again. Detectives and private eyes, a ringing telephone. Excited. Reading at the end. I wonder if like that's how her son got kidnapped, murdered. These are actually like not just names. Maybe these are the locations. I don't see. Talk to private investigator I hired. A friend told me about him. They said he's not very well known, but he's good at what he does. When I first visited his office in Oda City and saw how he dressed, I could barely believe he was a detective. But after talking to him for a while, I changed my mind. He says some strange things at times, but he seems like the reliable sort. guest table. I don't know where Father got this old thing from, but I've never liked it. Okay. Fuck. Let me bring you up to speed. We were in the middle of a chat. We were in the middle of a chat when you suddenly started spacing out, and the whole time you were grinning to yourself like you just won the lottery. Care to tell me what that was all about? Well, where to start? Hmm. Interesting. Very interesting. So, the haunting clapper's curse echo appeared out of nowhere, told you to perform the rite of resurrection, gave you the curse you'll need to do it. I got that right? That's right. So it's all real. Honestly, I still find it hard to believe, but I guess I have to now. I saw that curse stone appear in your hand myself. It looked like it popped up clean out of thin air. With evidence that clear, there's no denying that there's some supernatural force at work. My heart's still racing. This is it, my chance at long last. I don't think you quite understand. Oh, this isn't about evidence, and it isn't about belief. It's more than that. I know. Well, the moment the curse appeared, I knew everything before it even said a word. It was already there in my head, as clear as day. You just knew, huh? It was etched onto my soul, along with the curse echo's resentful memory, so I can feel it, what it was like. Dying like they did hundreds of years ago, wreathed in flame, wreathing in pain as my flesh blackens and my blood boils. I can feel it. All the agony, all the rage. It fills me with bloodlust. I think I need to kill someone. Anyone will do, just as long as they're carrying fire. I see. Well, that could be a problem. Think so? From what I know of you, I was sure you'd see it as an opportunity. Stronger, the stronger the desire to resurrect someone, the stronger the urge to kill. That's how it seems to me, anyway. Good grief. Talk about a spanner in the works. I say we take stock for a moment, remind ourselves where we've come from and where we're going. That might be a good idea. That's what you hired me for, ma'am. To look into your son's kidnapping last year. To uncover the truth behind the abduction and murder of Shuichi Shigima. Oh, yes, I remember. They never did find the one who did it. That's what I'm here. That's what I'm here about today, in fact. Kind of you to let me drop by so late, by the way. I've been turning over every last stone, and I've come up with a grand total of 1 lead. So you said? As far as the police are concerned, it's a cold case, but I've managed to make some headway. I remember you were just about to tell me. Um, See, a kidnapping and murder case that took place in Honjo, Shimida, around 1 year ago. Harui Shigima's son, Shuichi, age 11, was kidnapped on his way home from school with a ransom being demanded that same evening. Initially, the kidnapping was thought of a simple extortion scheme, but when it came to light that the Shigima family was closely tied to the police and Shuichi was in fact the grandson of a senior official, it was quickly assumed that the perpetrator was acting upon a grudge against the police force. The kidnapping was treated as a direct attack against the good name of the police, and a large-scale investigation was launched that used the best equipment available to trace phone calls. This made it all the more embarrassing when they were unable to catch the culprit, losing the public's confidence. The culprit grew cocky, relentlessly mocking the police force. After 3 days of failure after failure, Harui reached a breaking point. Spurred by concern for her son, she resolved to hand over the ransom money as fast as possible. But her husband and father, who held the prestige of the police in high regard, refused, saying that they would not let the criminal win by giving in their demands. The increasingly frantic detective assigned to the case lost his temper when the criminal called to give an ultimatum, causing the culprit to never make contact again. Another week passed, and Shuichi's body was found floating in the Sumida River. Shuichi's death could be largely ascribed to the police's incompetence. This was ultimately covered up with stringent media embargoes. The investigation was never closed, but the case has long gone cold. Okay. You know, we still need to figure out exactly what you want me to do. Tell you what, why don't you tell me what I found? Well, why don't I tell you what I found, rather? And then we can make a decision. All right. You know, you still wait. I suppose there's not much point going over the kidnapping itself. No, I'm very familiar. Then I'll leave that for the files to cover and just confirm a few things about the case. The police traced the culprit's calls back to, well, let's see here. Northern Oyoko River here in Sumida City. That's quite a whole wide area. That's right. In the end, they never managed to nail down exactly where the calls were coming from, but it was almost certainly the same location that Shuichi was being held captive, since Shuichi's voice could be heard during the killer's calls. Northern Oyoko River is quite a distance from Shuichi's normal school commute, factoring in that he was seen at school but went missing before he arrived at his house. It's likely that he was abducted by car on his route home. Maybe, but exactly. Shuichi was a clever boy. He never would have gotten into a car with a stranger. That's right. I was very firm about that. I know he understood too. I even saw him warning the other children. It's possible that they forced him into it. The only issue there is there weren't any witnesses to the kidnapping. Can't bundle someone into a car with that many students around and not be noticed. But nobody came forward to say they saw anything suspicious. So, did they target him at some other time or somewhere away from his usual route? Both of those seem a little far-fetched. Which raises the question, how did the kidnapper pull it off? The police never managed to find an answer. In the end, they decided that the kidnapper must have just gotten lucky. Well, why not turn the problem on its head? What do you mean? Elaborate. Kidnapper managed to convince Shuichi to get into her car, but how? The only thing that makes sense to me is if they were somebody that he would have a reason to trust. A teacher, perhaps? Or a relative? Or somebody else that he knew. But all of the adults Shuichi knew had alibis. The police checked them all thoroughly. They did, huh? No one throws numbers at a problem like the cops. But what if it wasn't someone he knew? Or rather, What if the culprit disguised himself as a police officer? That would explain why he didn't find him suspicious. The Shigima family has close ties with the police after all. He would have had a reason to trust them. Might be right. But surely that couldn't have. Well, there's a problem with the theory. You'd be surprised how much police officers stand out. That's sort of the point, after all. They're meant to be visible deterrent against crime. But here's another interesting little bit of trivia I happen to know. When you ask people to imagine someone suspicious, nobody pictures women or children. Uh, even kids who have been warned, even kids who've been warned about stranger danger, often subconsciously expect that danger to look like an adult man. True. Besides, Shuichi was the sort of boy who wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. He must have had a very strong sense of right and wrong. That's right. Wait, surely you can't mean... Now you're getting it? If, say, I don't know, a young woman approached Shuichi asking for help, what would he have done? If someone like that said they were lost and asked them for directions, would he have gotten into a car? He might have. My husband always told him that a man had a duty to watch out for women and children. You could certainly argue that kind of attitude is outdated nowadays, but if Shuichi believed it, then we might have something here. Then you think the culprit was a young woman? But it was a man's voice on the phone. She might have had an accomplice, or maybe she didn't even realize she was being used. If anything, that would explain why she hasn't come forward. She herself might not realize she had anything to do with the case. Huh. Oh. Still the same thing. Guess we keep... So, the question is, did anybody see Shuichi speaking with a young woman on the day of his disappearance? See, what I said about people's bias, that goes for witnesses too. And I figured that maybe if I started asking you questions, I might get some new answers. I spent my day asking around Shuichi's school route, seeing if anyone had seen something. And one man thought he had. Do you mean he saw it happen? Oh, I can't say that for sure yet. Turned out he wanted something from me, so he asked if we could talk. Several hours earlier. Interesting. Alright, this should do. There's no one around, we can speak in confidence. Excuse me, what was her name again? Jonochi. Got it. Well, Jonochi, I'm all ears. Just so we're on the same page. You're a private detective investigating Shuichi Shigima's kidnapping. Do I have that right? Of course. What else do I look like? How should I know what a private detective looks like? Oh, well, forget it. Look, I'll tell you straight. My life is in danger. I need your help. Huh? Oh, excuse me if that caught me a little off guard. Let me ask you straight. Who was trying to kill you? A student called Michio Shiraishi. Alright, interesting. A schoolgirl, eh? Sounds like you've been naughty. No, it's nothing like that. That girl, she's a murderer. I'm the only one who knows, but saw what she did. Michio Shiraishi. I saw her kidnap Shuichi Shikima. Come again? I saw her talk to him on the street and lead him away. I didn't think much of it at the time, but he went
But then he went missing. She murdered him. I'm sure of it, or at least she got something to do with it. That's what you're here for, isn't it? Then you can't let her get to me.
That's true. You've been sitting on some valuable information. Why didn't you tell nobody?
Well, you see,
Well, if you can't explain that, I don't have any reason to believe you.
I I couldn't. She told me she'd kill me if I spoke a word.
You're telling me a schoolgirl had you scared for your life? So you've been sitting on that the whole time? And you think she's coming for you now that you spilled the beans?
Yes, that's it. Exactly. I'm begging you, don't let her get me. Arrest her. I'm telling you, she's a demon.
Well, you seem to believe what you're saying, but it just doesn't add up. How could a schoolgirl have a fully grown man so terrified?
You don't know what she can do. She'll she'll curse me.
Uh, Come again? Curse you? I'm sorry, but you're kind of losing me here.
It's true. Her house. It's forget it. Why do I even bother? You seem dubious enough to believe me, but I should have known you'd never understand. Enough. I'll just find someone else to help me.
Hey, wait. Dang it. Hmm. Shit. She also curse. And that's about the long and short of it.
I can hardly believe it.
At the time, I thought his mention of curses was just crazy talk. Starting to see that there might have been more to it.
Then if we can just find that girl.
Curse or no curse, if she was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping, there's a good chance she knows something. On top of that, I did some digging on the man I spoke to. His full name's Kohei 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 Jinochi. He's a teacher at Komagata High School here in Sumida.
A teacher? Then the schoolgirl.
Is one of his students? I think that's very likely. Oh, it's dang. At last, we've got a lead. Hopefully, it'll be the breakthrough we're looking for. Okay, still Red Resurrection, huh? I read about that in a cult magazine the other day. Apparently, some old book showed up recently with all the gory details. And they say that the rat can be found somewhere in Honjo. I
I remembered the first time you told me about it. Felt like my prayers had been heard. Like I had hope. Real hope for the first time. Ever since that awful day, I wondered, what if I hadn't sent him to school? What if I just paid the rent? Not a day goes by when I don't think that I'd done something differently. Shuichi would still be alive.
Can't blame yourself, man. It was the culprit's fault, not yours. Though I know that won't help any. Grief is funny like that. I'm guessing that's why you're still after it, right? Or that's why you're after it, right? Because I didn't need to ask. It's written all over your face. Look, I can tell how much she meant to you. But, and this is a big but, if this right is the real deal, using it will mean killing someone and stealing their soul. She cares. Is that even a problem? Well, it comes to that, I'm afraid I'll have to stop you.
Oh, well, that's a shame.
A shame, huh? That's all?
I thought if I'm going to be competing with other curse bearer, then your detective skills might come in useful.
You realize you're talking about ending someone's life, right? Don't you see an issue with that? I think my par I think any parent in my position would happily kill for a chance like, huh? That's so, is it? Dear, oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? If it makes you uncomfortable, then you won't have to get any blood on your hands yourself. I don't need you to kill the other spirits. I only need you to find them. I won't be party to murder, ma'am. Not even for a client. How much can I give you to change your mind? Sorry, ma'am. Not everyone has a price. I've got my policies. I stick to them. I see. I didn't realize you were so stubborn. Let me say, though, it's not like I don't get what you're going through. As long as you're not killing anyone with your own hands, maybe I can help you out. What do you have? Well, how about stealing someone else's curse stone after they filled it with soul dregs? That was all you were after, then I could lend you my services guilt free. If the other curse bearers want to kill each other, that's their business. I'm not trying to be a hero here. I guess there's no guarantee a stolen curse stone will work, but we can worry about that later. Well then, I suppose we have a deal. Although, what if I stole a curse stone using my curse? Would you disapprove? That would void our contract, ma'am. Just warning you now. Why? Before we go any further, why don't you tell me about that curse of yours? Haunting clappers, was it? That's one of them 7 mysteries of Honjo, if I remember correctly. That's right. The original story did happen somewhere near here, I think. I'm sure I remember hearing that. In that case, ma'am, the money that would be the money that wait, the money would be on all the curse bearers being somewhere in Honjo. Our first move should be to narrow them down. Some of them are bound to try and come for you first. We'll need to be ready. The curses the curses make their bearers more willing to kill, so an attack could come from anywhere. That sounds sensible. And if I remember correctly, your haunting clappers can how does he your haunting clappers can set people on fire, but only if they have a naked flame or a lighter on their person. Is that right? That's right. In olden times, when the clappers were used to warn people of fire, I'm guessing it punishes those who don't heed the warning. Seems like a good curse to have. Simple and straightforward enough to use. Although it's hard to say how it stacks up without knowing what else is on the table. Really think it's that good? Target can't do much to throw it off and it has a nice long activation window. It's big that it works on lighters too. Just slip one into your target's pocket and say that condition were already fulfilled before they even knew you're there. They wouldn't even know what hit. Maybe I won't have to actually use it. I could just tell someone I could, and they'd have to do what I said. I guess threats could work, although without any proof, it'll come down to how convincing you can. If only you could use the curse, then back out at the last second. Last second? What an interesting idea. I have a lighter right here. We could try it now. That's an interesting proposition, but maybe not. I'm not quite crazy enough to make myself a guinea pig. Ah, you're an odd one, ma'am. You don't mind me saying, but I don't think it's just a curse.
You flatter her. Yeah, she's a little cuckoo. As for what we do next, first of all, I think we should stay indoors. Try not to do anything spontaneous or outside of your normal routine. Right then, have you decided what you want me working on? I really want to know, like, what happened with the kidnap. Finally. Finally, I have a lead. I need to know what happened to my son. Wish is my command, ma'am. I'll focus all my efforts on looking into kidnapping. Although, something just occurred to me. You can't investigate the matter at night, can you? At least until the sun rises. Could you search for the other curse bearers? Heh. Alright, I see how it is. Well, I'd be happy to help. Odds are that the other curse bearers are also working by night. Anyone they kill under the cover of darkness won't be discovered until sunrise. I bet they'll be trying to do as much as they can before morning comes. So it's settled then. I'll look into the other curse bearers by night. And once the city wakes up, I can start asking questions. I'll investigate the kidnapping as well. Hell, I'll even try and find Miss Shuraishi as part of the bargain. Thank you. That's more than enough. Now then, I should get to work. There's only so much time before sunrise. I'll call you if I find anything new. You stay here and keep a lookout. Alright? There's no telling what kinds of curses you might find out on the streets tonight. Don't go outside if you can help it, and try to be ready for anything. I will. Well, that's all. Should be going. Let's see. A nice thought. Despite having tamed the curse of the hunting clappers, Haruhi Shigima is determined to use the right of resurrection by stealing the remaining curse stones. She instructs her private investigator, Richter, to find the other spirit. It's been almost an hour since Rick. He promised he'd call me if anything happened, but he hasn't. So all I can do is wait and wait. Should I put the record on? No, it's too late for that. I'm not in. The flowers put me at ease, just a little. That old hanging scroll. Seen it too often to feel anything. Think of it, I never offered him any tea. Not that I ever learned how to make it. Paper? Must have fallen off the chair. It's a newspaper. I only leave them in here for the guests. I hardly ever read them. I don't think I've taken the time to go over one in years, in fact. Well, it's not like I have anything better to do. All sorts of articles about the current state of the economy. Now that the post-war boom has passed its peak, we're moving into the era of large corporations. About 220 to 230 yen to the dollar. Manufacturing is on the rise and exports are healthy. The dollar's down from its height, and people are saying it could fall further. There's no wow, there's no denying how much the standard of living has improved in the past few years. It's common to own a car and television now. Supermarkets are better stocked than ever. Not the case for us. I'm waiting for Richter to contact me. He hasn't. It's a
fax machine. I rarely find. I don't know anyone else. Is it? The ticking sound seems so loud, and just goes to show how quiet it is. There's nothing on at this hour. I see no point on. Although with everyone flocking to the city, land prices are skyrocketing. Are today. Nowadays, most people can only dream of home ownership. City center is going to be nothing but apartments before. I'm not exactly a businesswoman, so this all feels like another world. Oh, whoops. Looks like the city's biggest problem right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste, and it stank so badly it made my eyes water. Eventually, people started getting sick, and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then. Although the air around the industrial district is still filthy with gas and smog, there's one thing Honjo never wants. Or if there's one thing Honjo never wants for, it's horrific. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other. A lot of my family are in police. I hope it was I knew. I don't read the news anymore, not since last year. It brings back bad memories. Suicide at local high school. Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off the roof about a week ago. She was bullied, I think, or maybe it was something about exam pressure? Huh? What? But no, this can't be right. Her name. Michio Shiraishi from Gata High School? Wait, no, it can't be. Uh-oh. Now that every Oh, and spooky music comes on. Great. Now that everyone has more spending money to go around, people are coming up with all kinds of new diversions. It seems like only yesterday that people were flocking to the arcades to shoot aliens, but now we have these enormous theme parks and gaming machines that plug straight into our own TVs. Everyone's talking about superhero series, foreign films, and movies based on the latest bestseller. Back in my day, back in my day, fusion rock and folk music was all the rage, but now it's all about city pop and idols. I find it hard to care about that sort of thing anymore. I hear the I hear the new big thing is some mascot line of delinquent birds, mockingbirds, I think it's called. Was that what Richter was talking about? Trends seem to have such a short shelf life now, or such short shelf life now, with how quickly the times are changing. I think I'm just too old to keep up with it. Uh, I think I'm too old to read. I think I'm just too old to keep up. It's young people who are leading the way with their modern worldviews. My generation will only fall further behind. Same. Everyone attends high school now, even girls. Universal education policy, they call it. Country's gotten rich enough that every child can go to school. Education is the backbone of modern society. If you want to work for a good company, you have to get into a good university. With more people in, well, not true, not true. Sometimes it's by opportunity and chance, connections, and all that. Anyways, uh, with more people in the running than ever, the competition to get into those universities has gotten fierce though. The new generation is rebelling. Schoolyard violence and delinquency are on the rise. But my boy was too sensible to get mixed up in any of that. I don't want to read anymore. No, only too bad we're reading. I don't really watch much TV. It feels as if all the information in the world gets passed through that little black box. But father stopped him from reporting on the kidnapping back when it happened. I was glad about that. Less fuss. Now the comedy boom is over, all the comedians are flocking to other genres. The cult seems really popular at the moment. I mean, look at all these paranormal specials. Michio Shiraishi, the same girl who witnessed my son's kidnapping, committed suicide last week? But that means Mr. Jonochi was terrified of someone who already died? Is that what he meant by a curse? I can't work this out on my own. Maybe Richter will know. Why won't we call? I haven't left it off the hook, have I? Waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. I've made sure the receiver is on the hook. It'll ring as soon as he calls. Oh, that must be him. Hello, Shigima residence. Oh, Richter called me out to meet him. We came here to Komagata Bridge. Richter, there's something I need to tell you. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. We're on the Komagata Bridge over Sumida River. There's a highway on one side and a freeway on the other. Difference. But they're both deserted at this late at night. The Sumida River. The water is filthy and horrid, but at night when it's still it looks almost peaceful. Can I ask you something, ma'am? Is the Sumida River what you Honjo folks picture when you think of home? I couldn't say. All I can tell you is that I can barely stand the sight of it. Right, should have guessed. This is where they found him after he went missing. All alone, floating in that horrible. All I can think is how scared he must have been. How cold. Stuff. What did he ever do to deserve something so awful? I've come here every day since, and I pray to the river to give back my son. Day after day after day. You know, in olden times, people believe rivers marked where our world met the next. So the act of crossing flowing water had a huge amount of spiritual significance. Back when Edo was founded, the people of Chuo saw the Sumida River the same way. They associated the far side of the river with the afterlife. That same place would later become Honjo. All their fear and revulsion accumulated there and took root. But then the Ryogoku Bridge sprang up right after the Great Fire of Meiriki. And just like that, Honjo was part of the city too. And as it turned from farmland to town, people surrounded it with man-made rivers and crisscrossed it with canals and waterways. Weren't those to prevent flooding? That's what I was. They were. That's not all they were for. Their other purpose was to contain all the corruption that had built up on the far shore and stop it leaking through to our side of the Great Divide. Officially, they were a physical barrier, but unofficially, they were a spiritual one too. So, if I have this right, are you saying that Honjo is a place where the real world meets the afterlife? Exactamundo. That's why the rite of resurrection is here, rather than anywhere else. I'm sure of it. And it's probably why the seven mysteries and their curses have survived to this modern day. And I guess that would make this spot where we're standing right now, right over water, the border between life and death. If there ever was a place where bringing back the dead might be possible, I reckon it's here. It's funny now that you mentioned praying to the river, that might have done more than you think. Is that supposed to make you feel better? I'm just thinking out loud, man. Well, it's a nice thought. Oh, that's right. There's one more memory I have of this river. Do you mind if I tell you? Go right on ahead. It must have been about 20 years now, when I was still a schoolgirl. Back then, the Sumida River was much filthier than how it is now. It was full of garbage and industrial discharge. It was scummy, slimy, and it stank. You could look out over the water and see dead cats and dogs and pigeons just floating. One day, among the filth and garbage, there was a piece of my missing classmate's hand. But it was almost a miracle when you stop to think about it. What were the chances that someone would find a part of her that was still recognizable? And that although everything but the palm had rotted away in the water, the part that was left would have an identifiable scar. And that they could tell it'd been a murder from the blade marks on the bone. Wait, you talking about the Nejima murders? So, you have heard of it. I'm impressed. I assume you were but an elementary schooler at the time. I wasn't really aware of it then. I only heard about it after the fact. I had no idea the victim was a classmate of yours. To be honest, it was all a bit of a blur. A wave of chaos just partying around me. Something like that. They said the rest of her body must have sunk to the bottom of the river. They combed the riverbed, but they only ever found pieces. Everything must have rotted and flowed out to sea. Afterwards, I heard that all the divers who had been looking for her fell ill. A sorry story for everyone involved, huh? It's funny. Everyone figures the river's filthy already, so more pieces of garbage won't hurt. But every little bit makes it worse. It's a vicious cycle. I know I wouldn't want to go rooting around down there myself. That's right. Which is why the riverbed is the last place anybody would go looking. Or so the killers think. Or so was the killers thinking. The times were changing quickly back then. Things were confusing. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Young people were moving to Tokyo in droves. Some even ran away from home to make it into the big city. And they made easy targets for bad people. A lot of them ended up disappearing without a trace. See, back then, if you chopped the body up into tiny pieces and threw it in the river, it would rot quickly and discreetly and sink to the bottom, never to be seen. Are you saying what I think you're saying? They arrested him shortly after. Fumichika Nejima, a man who killed my classmate and cut her into pieces. He was so methodical about it, it couldn't have been his first crime. And people began to wonder how many other girls he'd murdered the same way. The police never found any evidence of other murderers. But the river knows the truth. How many corpses has it swallowed up? Over the years, I wonder, that same thought spread through everyone's mind, and they started to avoid this area. So really, this river has been rank with corruption for decades, or at least that's how it seems to me. Well, was that interesting? Well, I can see why you don't have any good memories of this river. All that darkness lurking beneath the surface, there's no reason that you would. Still, if I may, ma'am, I'm surprised you know so much about the Nejima murders. But how could I not? After all, I was the one who found the hand. The police actually wrote me a thank you letter. They said it only they said it was only thanks to me that they managed to bring Nejima to justice. That was the only time my father ever said he was proud of me. Huh. I guess it just wasn't the killer's day. Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for. Oh, interesting. Assuming the river, I have nothing but awful memories. Oh, like what if the killer has a curse, right? Staying around is the last thing I want to be. Now this is my only chance to bring back my son. Can't afford this to fritter it away. Gazing down at the river. Let's see. Stir A. What about the stickers thing? Eh, what was it? Like mockingbirds approached and wait, she just told us about so fucked up. I don't know what came over me. I knew it was wrong. Oh, that is crotch. There's something I need to tell you. What's up? Well, that girl, Michio Shiraishi, one who was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping, that's her. Well, she's dead. She's what? The student who committed suicide last week. That was her. I heard something like that had happened. Never got the name though. Huh. Talk about bad luck. Finally get a lead, only to find it's turned into a literal dead end. Unless death was the whole reason Jinochi was so shaken up. He said she was gonna curse him. Talking about her taking revenge from beyond the grave. It seems like we're back to where we started. Not necessarily. That teacher knows something, I'm sure of it. At the very least, I put money on him having something to do with Miss Shiraishi's death. That's why he's so scared of being cursed by her. I see. And also, something tells me he knows more about your son's kidnapping. In any case, I think I've got a good idea what he's hiding. Call it a hunch.
A hunch?
Well, more of a theory. Care to take a guess?
I'm just an ordinary housewife. I'm not clever enough for all this.
Are you sure? I had you down for a sharp. I had you down sharper than that.
That's flattering, but I'm afraid you're mistaken.
Oh, anyway, that's enough speculation for now. Truth will out in time. Right now, I think we have to have another chat with Mr. Janochi.
Please, go ahead.
Alright then. I've been poking around places connected to the 7 mysteries looking for curse bearers. I think I found a few candidates. First tall man I ran into Kinshibori Park. I asked him for directions, trying to probe him for a little bit, but he turned the questions right back around on me. And he was out there the second he figured I was. Wait, he was out of there the second he figured I wasn't what he was looking for. Got the sense curses were nothing new to him. I'm about 40% sure he's a curse bearer. Then there's this middle-aged guy I saw on South Wadagate Street. There's no question about this one. He had one of the curse stones in his hand. He had nervous air about him too. It was clear he was up to some shady-ass business. Gathering soul dregs, I'd bet. He'd make a good target. Next up is a pair. A young man and woman I saw around Ryogoku Bridge. This time the man came up to me and asked me flat out if I was a curse bearer. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about, and he backpedaled and left. Looks like they lurk around there often. Looking for kindred spirits would be my guess. Though it didn't seem like they were quite working as a pair. Gathering soul dregs in a group might be a decent idea if you can make it work. But with things being how they are, it's got to be hard to find folks one can trust. They've got brass though. I don't know what their deal is, but I like to figure it out. Last is 2 detectives I've been sniffing around. Well, not necessarily. A body turned up in the local park a few days ago, so they might just be looking into that. Still, the park's got ties to one of the 7 mysteries. Might be it was a curse that let the guy in. And if they're sending in detectives from the head office, then something's gotta be up.
Well, how do you know where they're from?
Let's just say when you're in this business, there's some faces you get to know. Anyway, that's everyone who's caught my eye.
You found them all in so little time? I really did hire the best.
On name, ma'am. Richter Kai, P.I. No, wait. Make that Richter Kai, Investigator Extraordinaire.
Why? An investigator extraordinaire? Is that why you can dress like that without drawing attention to yourself?
Well, you betcha. Investigator Extraordinaire can blend in like a chameleon in any outfit.
Well, that said, the middle-aged man and the young couple sound the most promising.
Whichever we pick, it's still too early to make a move. Seems like the curse bearers are less involved with each other than we thought. Plus, there are still others we don't know about. I say we hang fire and see how things play out. Once more bodies start showing up, I'll get the pot nice and hot. And once it's boiling, chance will come.
Is something wrong?
Not really. It struck me. It's been 20 years since the Najima murders.
So it has.
Not to spook you or anything, but I thought you might be interested in knowing. Life in prison doesn't always mean life. There's precedent for first-time offenders being allowed out on parole after 20 years. Only if they're found to show remorse and the desire to reform themselves, of course.
That's right. I'm impressed you know so much.
Still, it's hard for someone with a criminal record to reintegrate into society. I heard they've been trying to fix that recently, matching inmates with jobs and accommodation.
Oh, really?
They keep an eye on them, of course, and make them report in for regular checkups. But to avoid discrimination, they keep the inmates' record secret from everyone but their employers. They even give particularly notorious criminals new identities so they won't be recognized in the workplace.
My, the way you put it, it's like you're saying Fumichika Najima could be out on parole right now, back in society, under a new name. Nobody any of them wiser.
I mean, it's possible. As it happens, a little birdie told me about a big name making parole a few months back. I don't know if that was Najima, but our discussion just now did bring it to mind.
I see. How unsettling. Now that you mention it, I just remembered something.
What was that?
I was passing Komagata High School a while ago when I saw someone. A janitor, I think. And I could have sworn he reminded me of Chika Najima.
Oh,
He looked a little different after 20 years. Much thinner than I remembered, too. I told myself I was just seeing things, but perhaps it was him after all. So, next.
well, the big question now is what the rest of the curse bears are up to. Luckily, the Sumida River is a good distance from any of the 7 mysteries. It's unlikely the other curse bears will come all the way here. I can finally have a moment to think.
Alright.
Spend? Cannot progress any further. Once your situation has changed, select resume to try again. Okay. Wait, what? That's a dead end? Oop. Okay. I think I'll continue